You may not like me for saying this, but I've been mad at my mom lately. Until recently, I've lived with this assumption that my mom didn't know she was dying. I have no written letter from her, no special gift, no words of wisdom scribbled, even quickly on a scrap of paper. What mother would knowingly die without trying to leave something for her children? She was already so sick. Really, she was too sick by the time she got the diagnosis. Chemo only made things worse, but she was trying. At least that's what I thought. And there was just so much hope, and so many prayers, and a deep-rooted faith. But there was a startling absence of any talk about death. She wasted away before our eyes, yet no one said a word. And in just 2 months, the impossible became the inevitable. Being a teen, instead of talking to my parents, I confessed to my best friend, telling her the sickening secret truth I held. My mom's dying. She already knew. Her parents told her. I do remember trying to talk about it once. My mom was sitting on the couch, legs outstretched sideways, looking out the window, and I came and sat on the floor beside her, too big to be in her lap and too frail for her to hold me anyway. Heart heavy, I began to cry. Why are you crying? I couldn't talk through the tears. Are you afraid I'm going to die? I nodded. With her partially paralyzed vocal cords, she admonished me. You could have died in your car accident last month. Any one of us could die at any time. None of us are promised tomorrow. She turned her head and looked back out the window, and I continued to weep. I've lived with this over half my life. I was the only one in my family that knew she was dying. Since then, I've pitied my mom, my dad, everyone for not seeing it. So how is it then that after all these years, the questions start? Doubts wiggle in, grow. My pity turns to frustration, and honestly, I start to get mad. How am I suddenly using my own mother eyes, mother ears, and mother heart, seeing, hearing, and understanding as if for the first time? Over the course of these months, I've heard things I've never heard before. Palliative chemo. Her diagnosis was a death sentence. She didn't want to talk about it in front of you kids. My own motherhood grabs me firmly by the shoulders, shakes me, and yells at, she knew! She had to know! But how could she not say anything? Not give anything, not leave anything, not do anything? I'm mad! Which really just means I'm hurt. Not too long ago, I shared my frustration and anger with some friends. And that night, I did the same to God. I really don't know how to come to terms with this hard stuff. There's too much, and it's too much. Just venting and asking God to help me figure out my own feelings makes me feel like I'm making progress. I don't have the time or energy to wrestle this thing out by myself. The very next day, our neighbor dies. Sudden and unexpected. Doing the only things I feel I can do, I start to cook and I start to pray. Flour on the floor, and again, me upset and talking to God, trying to separate my own experience from theirs. The thought abruptly overcomes me. Would you have rather it been like that? No. Then my own wave of grief hits. I'm shocked and shaken, and honestly, I'm a bit ashamed. Years have buried this deep. It's remarkable to me how the mind remembers what it wants to remember only when it's ready. Alone in my kitchen in heavy, floury, painful tears, it comes back. Before she went to hospice, each of us kids had some time with her alone in our hospital room, and intuitively I knew this was a final chance to talk. I didn't understand until recently, though, how much medication was actually necessary to alleviate her pain. It hurts me to know she traded pain for lucidity in order to have these final moments with her children. My parents weren't just strict, they were remarkably conservative. And although I was a good kid, I did some lying to get around their constraints. But now I was ready to come clean. I needed to come clean. Starting in a deep breath, and she puts her hand up to stop me. It's okay. I try to start again. You're a good girl. My food cooks. My kitchen eventually gets clean, but my tears continue to pour. My frustrated anger dissolves into grateful understanding. She could go, and I could go on, with my slate wiped clean by her forgiveness and love. Gift given, gift finally received.